humanity has quietly crossed a line it was never meant to cross. A line so ancient, so sacred, so deeply rooted in our collective DNA that every civilization before us feared even approaching it. Yet, here we are, standing boldly, almost arrogantly, at the threshold of playing God. We create life in laboratories, manipulate the architecture of the human mind, rewrite genetic codes, build artificial intelligences that mimic consciousness, and challenge the boundaries that once separated the divine from the mortal. But amid all this progress, all this brilliance, all this godlike ambition, a quiet voice rises in the background, whispering a question humanity has never been prepared to answer. What happens when the creation begins to believe it no longer needs its creator? You see, the story of human civilization is the story of individuals who always wanted more. More power, more control, more immortality, more understanding. But the problem is not the quest for knowledge. The real threat emerges when knowledge loses humility, when progress becomes intoxication, when man begins to look at himself not as a creation of God, but as a potential replacement for God. And this delusion is not born in temples or scriptures. It is born in laboratories, universities, corporate boardrooms, government war rooms, AI research centers, and even inside every human brain, desperate to prove itself superior to all divine authority. Psychologists call this transcendence impulse. The inner urge that pushes human beings to break all limits. The same impulse that built civilizations also destroyed them. The same impulse that produced miracles also produced madness. And today, in our bold pursuit of power, we are repeating the same ancient mistake humanity has made again and again. We want the throne of God without the wisdom of God. The economist John Maynard Keynes once warned, "The day is not far when man will be able to command nature at will, but the question is whether he will have the wisdom to control himself." And today, that prophecy is echoing louder than ever. Because the truth is harsh. We have achieved godlike capabilities without godlike character. We have gained mastery over nature while losing mastery over ourselves. We have conquered the external world while becoming slaves to our internal chaos. And as humanity tries to play God, something devastating begins to happen. The moral framework that holds society together starts to crumble. Values become negotiable. Truth becomes flexible. Ethics become optional. And slowly, a terrifying collapse begins, one that no one wants to talk about, yet everyone feels deep inside. We see it in the digital world, where people rewrite their identities like code, manipulate reality with filters, and pretend to be gods crafting their own universes. We see it in biotechnology, where the ability to modify human DNA now raises questions our ancestors never imagined. We see it in artificial intelligence, where algorithms silently decide what we think, what we buy, who we vote for, and how we understand the world. We see it in the economy, where billionaire philanthropists, some good, some dangerous, exercise more power over the planet than entire governments. As Warren Buffett said, "The world is not run by governments, it's run by incentives. And when those incentives become godlike, morality begins to disappear." The philanthropist George Soros once stated, "Humans have always wanted to play God, but they always forget the responsibility that comes with power." Whether you like him or not, the truth in his statement cannot be ignored. Because playing God is not about building miracles, it is about carrying the weight of morality. And humanity today wants the miracle without the morality. But here is the deepest layer of the truth. Every time humans try to replace God, they do not rise, they fall. History is filled with empires, ideologies, and tyrants who believed they had outgrown religion, morality, or divine accountability. Every one of them collapsed. Not because God struck them down, but because the weight of moral responsibility crushed them from within. You see, when man plays God, he does not become divine, he becomes dangerously flawed. He becomes a creature with immense power, but no throne to anchor him. A being capable of creating worlds, but incapable of governing his own heart. Psychologist Carl Jung warned, "The greatest danger to humanity is not machines or monsters. It is the uncontrolled power within man himself." And we are living in an age where that uncontrolled power is being amplified by technology, accelerated by ego, and justified by a moral framework that is slowly dissolving in front of our eyes. We think we are evolving, but in reality, we are unraveling. We think we are advancing, but in truth, we are drifting. We think we are becoming gods, but the truth is far more disturbing. We are becoming godless gods, powerful but empty, intelligent but directionless, advanced but morally bankrupt. Ask yourself, why is depression at an all-time high when knowledge is everywhere? Why are suicides increasing in a world full of comfort? Why are people spiritually starving in an age where information flows like rivers? Why is loneliness the new pandemic in a world more connected than ever? Why are youth losing purpose when they have more opportunities than any generation before them? The answer is simple but terrifying. When humans play God, they stop searching for God, and when they stop searching for God, they lose themselves. There is a psychological principle called the meaning vacuum. According to Viktor Frankl, the world-renowned psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, the greatest crisis of the modern world is not disease or war, it is the loss of meaning. And nothing drains meaning faster than believing you can replace God. Because God is not just a theological concept. God is the anchor of morality, the structure of purpose, the foundation of meaning, the boundary of humility, the light of guidance. Remove that, and the human soul collapses under its own weight. Even billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates once admitted, "Technology is amazing, but it cannot solve the moral problems of humanity. That requires something beyond the human mind." And he is right, because the mind can build machines, but it cannot build morality. It can create algorithms, but not ethics. It can generate wealth, but not meaning. It can simulate consciousness, but not the soul. And this is where the collapse begins. Not in the outer world, but in the inner one. Because the real collapse of a civilization never begins with war, famine, or external enemies. It begins when the soul of that civilization becomes hollow. When morality becomes a costume people wear only when convenient. When truth becomes subjective. When God becomes optional. When man starts believing he is the ultimate authority. And that is exactly what is happening right now. Look at the modern world. Everyone wants to be a god in their own narrative. People rewrite their moral compass based on emotions, not principles. They worship the self instead of the divine. They seek instant gratification instead of lifelong purpose. They choose comfort over character. They chase validation over virtue. And slowly, a terrifying transformation begins. The rise of the sovereign individual, a human being who believes he owes loyalty to no one, answers to no higher power, and defines morality according to personal convenience. But here's the psychological paradox. The more humans try to elevate themselves to godlike status, the more they fall into emotional, mental, and spiritual chaos. Why? Because humans were never designed to carry the weight of being God. The famous philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said, "The heaviest burden a man can carry is the illusion that he is self-sufficient." And today we are carrying that burden more than ever, pretending we need nothing above us, nothing beyond us, nothing greater than us. But deep down, every human soul knows one truth. We collapse without a higher anchor. This is why anxiety is rising even in wealthy nations, why loneliness consumes people even in crowded cities, why billionaires admit they feel empty despite unimaginable success, why young people drown in depression despite having unlimited entertainment, information, and freedom. As the economist and philanthropist Muhammad Yunus once said, "The poverty of purpose is far deadlier than the poverty of money." And today, humanity is suffering from a poverty of purpose, not because God disappeared, but because humans stopped looking. Now look at technology, look at artificial intelligence, look at digital culture. We are creating systems that mimic human intelligence, but we are losing human wisdom. We are designing machines that can think, but forgetting how to feel. We are building algorithms that predict our behavior, but we are unable to predict our own moral decline. When AI becomes a mirror, humanity begins to see its own emptiness. That is why people fear artificial intelligence. Not because it will overpower us, but because it will expose us. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that we have become disconnected from the very things that make us human. Compassion, humility, purpose, spiritual grounding. AI didn't remove God from society. Humans removed God from their hearts long before AI was even imagined. Think about it. Technology has advanced more in the last 30 years than in the previous 3,000. But has our morality advanced? Has our compassion increased? Has our humility deepened? Has our inner world become stronger? No. In fact, it is doing the opposite. Human progress is accelerating. Human purpose is evaporating. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned, "If you remove God, you do not free the world. You unleash the darkness within man." And when he said God is dead, he wasn't celebrating it. He was terrified. Because Nietzsche knew that once humans abandon divine accountability, they become accountable to nothing. And that is the most dangerous state a civilization can reach. Now look around. You will see exactly what he feared. A world where moral lines are blurred beyond recognition. A world where everything is acceptable as long as it feels good. A world where humans justify anything if it serves their desires. A world where spiritual famine consumes entire generations. People today have more opinions but less truth, more freedom but less responsibility, more knowledge but less wisdom, more power but less morality, more options but less purpose, more pleasure but less fulfillment, more connections but more loneliness. This is the collapse we do not want to talk about, not because we don't see it, but because we don't know how to fix it. Humans believe that progress will save us, technology will save us, knowledge will save us. But every psychologist, every philosopher, every spiritual teacher has repeated the same message for thousands of years. The sickness of the soul cannot be cured by the inventions of the mind. And yet, we try. We try to fill the spiritual void with digital entertainment. We try to replace divine purpose with personal ambition. We try to substitute prayer with productivity. We try to erase spiritual hunger with material abundance. We try to imitate God through technology, inventions, achievements. But nothing works. Nothing will ever work. Because when humans play God, they lose the humility required to be human. The billionaire philanthropist Mackenzie Scott once said, "We can change the world with money, but we cannot heal the world without morality." And she is right. Wealth may build hospitals, but only morality builds humanity. Science may cure diseases, but only spirituality cures emptiness. Technology may give convenience, but only faith gives meaning. Look at history. Every empire that tried to play God eventually collapsed under its own arrogance. The Romans believed they were invincible. The Egyptians worshipped their kings like divine beings. The Soviet regime believed ideology could replace theology. The Nazis believed science could engineer a perfect human. Every one of them fell, not because of their power, but because of their pride. Today, humanity is walking the same path. We believe we are too advanced for God, too intelligent for morality, too empowered for humility, too modern for spiritual accountability. Yet deep inside, every human soul quietly whispers the truth. We are not gods. We are lost without God. And the deeper we fall into this illusion of power, the closer we come to the edge of moral extinction. In the end, the truth is not hidden in laboratories, not buried deep inside algorithms, not locked behind the doors of secret research centers. The truth has always been simple, ancient, and unavoidable. Humanity collapses the moment it forgets its place. We were created with intelligence, but not omniscience, with creativity, but not divinity, with power, but not ultimate authority. And every time we have tried to transcend the boundaries set by the divine, we have fallen. Not because God punished us, but because arrogance blinds us, and blindness destroys nations. The real danger of our age is not artificial intelligence. It is artificial morality, artificial purpose, artificial meaning, artificial identity, artificial spirituality. We have become a civilization that wants godlike power without godlike wisdom, progress without principles, freedom without responsibility. And that path has only one destination: emptiness. Because when humans play God, they may gain the world, but they lose their soul. Here is the paradox that saves us. Humans do not become small by accepting God, they become complete. Humility does not weaken a person, it anchors them. Faith does not limit intelligence, it guides it. And morality does not restrict power, it purifies it. So let this be the lesson of our time. We can build machines that think, but only God can give meaning. We can create intelligence, but only God can create a soul. We can write algorithms, but only God can write destiny. We can design systems, but only God can design purpose. We can imitate creation, but we can never become the creator. Artificial intelligence may reshape the world, but it will never replace the one who shaped the universe. It may revolutionize society, but it cannot resurrect a dying soul. It may outperform the human brain, but it will never outshine the divine spark within the human heart. Because in the end, technology will evolve, civilizations will rise and fall, empires will come and go, but God will remain.